Hey folks, what is up? Don't mind the mess behind me. My room's a disaster and there is a reason for it. So yes, I have paused on uploading for a little while. Now why do I say paused? Well, I don't want to stop. It's just that there's one thing I'm tired, well, there's several things I'm tired of. But one of the things I'm tired of is Xfinity's dismal upload rate. Xfinity likes to tout their download rate. As a matter of fact, they just jumped up to 1,200 megabits of download, which is amazing, sure. But if you want to upload anything, it's 10 megabits per second, and it has been 10 megabits per second ever since high-speed internet cable through cable companies have been introduced. I mean, that's never changed. You can't get faster than 10. The only other option to get fast upload speeds is files, and I've had my issues with files in the past. But the advantage now is that files has changed enough that I'm willing to give them a third chance, where Xfinity hasn't. Xfinity, I must still be in a 2-year contract. I must still deal with their poor upload speed. They have good tech support, I'll give them that. But they're the same, but they also still, they contract, like I said, which means you only get this price for, I don't know if it's that mic or this mic, so that's why I have both on. They also have, what is it? Trying to think. The introductory price. So in other words, you get in and your price is 130 plus whatever, 150 plus whatever. So I'm paying like $170 a month for high-speed cable, phone, DVR box, and 3 TVs. I'm going to be paying the same amount through Fios. Well, Fios, there's no contract anymore. They don't contract you. And at the end of the 2-year contract, the price of your internet, the price of your stuff goes up unless you can negotiate out another deal. And they often will not try to let you negotiate down. They'll always try and bump you up a little bit. So Xfinity, there's no more contract. I could get Xfinity, with Fios. I can get Fios this month, quit next month, and I don't pay any buyout fees, early termination fees. Also, yes, my shirt's a mess too. I need to change it. Also, I need to, what was I trying to think? The price won't go up, other than regular rate hikes through cost of living, inflation and all that. In 2 years, it won't go from 170 to 250 to what the normal rate would be. So there's some really good stuff in that. The other thing is that Xfinity, and I don't think this would affect me, but they're putting a data cap on what you can use, even when you're paying for their best plan. And if you hit that data cap, well, then you're going to have to pay to get more data. I'm just seeing my hand really fuck up in that. I can go up here and move just fine, and I get down here and it's right in that area. I don't know if you can see that or not, or if it's just my monitor. Maybe just my monitor. I hope not. This is a big monitor. But yeah, they're putting a data cap on here in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts has been urging them not to. I have a feeling that if they continue to go forward with this, that Massachusetts will push back and pass legislation that'll counteract that, because Massachusetts was one of the first states that put into place what is it, not free, but you know what the FCC did in removing internet protections. Well, Massachusetts was one of the first states to slam those protections in on a state level. So it's possible Massachusetts will push back on that, but maybe not. But it's a suicide move, especially when you're dealing with a company like Fios on the other side, who just basically went, no contracts, no pay hikes, no data caps, and not only do we have a fast enough download speed that you can use, our upload speed is just as fast. And here's the other thing. if one computer is doing high-end upload, download, particularly upload on your computer, other computers connected into that network tend to slow down a lot. Like, I can't upload a video and play World of Tanks at the same time. I get horrendous lag because my bandwidth is being taken up. With files, I don't know if I can do it on the same computer, but I can upload on one computer and play on the other computer, and my speed will not slow down. My speed won't change. And yes, when uploading videos here, it can take me 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I've had a video with all this amazing download speed take 5 hours to upload. 5 hours to upload, which means that is something I can't really do much on my computer. I can't play online games like I like to for 5 hours until my computer's done. With the much higher upload rate of Xfinity, I'd be done in less than an hour in most occasions. Smaller videos, I've uploaded on files before where it took 10, 15 minutes. So I am giving Files another chance at this point, especially because my Xfinity contract is coming up in just a few months. So I'm okay with a buyout at this point. So that's one of the reasons I have stopped uploading. The other reason I've stopped uploading is I'm 100% sure at this point that I actually have ADHD, and that I've never been diagnosed with it. I'm going to talk to my doctor when I see him again and see if he can point me in the right direction to get tested and maybe to get help for it. For those of you that don't know, ADHD is an attention deficit disorder. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I don't know if I have ADHD or ADD, but I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. Because here's symptoms in adults. Symptoms in adults: carelessness and lack of attention to detail. Yes, definitely that. Continuously starting new tasks before finishing old ones. I cannot think about how many times I start something and quit on it, especially video games. I'll start on it, and I don't care, quit on it, move on to the next one. Poor organizational skills. I don't organize anything. I don't keep anything in place. I don't keep records. I don't do anything. I can't organize at all. But still, this could be nothing, but let's go on. Inability to focus or prioritize. Yes. I have a very hard time staying focused on things. I have a very difficult time prioritizing things. And I'll constantly shift priorities around. Continuously losing or misplacing things. This is a huge one for me. I am constantly misplacing my cell phone, misplacing my truck keys. I'll put something down and then just forget where I put it. I'll put it down and then 30 seconds later forget where I put it. My glasses, my car keys, my cell phone. I'll put this out there on the counter and forget that it's out there on the counter. Forgetfulness. This is another massive one. For years, I have had, as far back as I can remember, which is hilarious, I have had a very hard time remembering things. I remember all the time, my wife would ask me, could you take the trash out? Oh yeah, sure. I'll grab it on the way back. I'll walk out to do a walk. And by the time I come back, I don't even see the trash anymore. I don't just forget to take the trash out. I forget the trash is even there. I am constantly forgetting things, and it's actually gotten worse. Just recently, I was it 2 things? Well, one was more of a confusion. But I was given a paper, and in that paper gave me that the kids were going in on Monday, because Mondays for me are usually a day off. Because the school I drive doesn't go in on Monday. So I go to Monday. Monday comes around, and I stay in bed like his days off. My phone's not near me. I wake up, and it's like, oh well, shit, they were supposed to go. I read that paper 6 times through the week I was given to remind myself that I needed to work on Monday, including reading it Sunday night, and I still forgot to set my clock an hour later to wake me up. Restlessness and edginess. I have a hard time sitting still if it's not obvious. Even when I'm sitting on a couch or something, I'm always like fidgeting with something. I'll take a pen, in this case a screwdriver, I'll play around with it in my fingers. As you can see here, I rock. Rocking is one of the big things I do. I rock endlessly at times. I have a very difficult time staying still. Difficulty keeping quiet and speaking on the turn. This is actually something I don't have a hard time with. I actually, most of the time, will prefer to be quiet, as I have a bit of a shyness to me when I'm around people, and I don't speak out of turn very often. Blurting out responses and often interrupting others. Sometimes, but not so much where I call it an easy, something that would point to this. But the next one, mood swings, irritability, and quick temper. Ask my mother, ask my fiance about this one. I'll be happy-go-lucky, joy in it, go in it, all full of energy and everything, and then 20 minutes later, I'll be fucking pissed off for no reason. Or I'll just be depressed. My mood will crash. I go up and down the spectrum constantly, and I know it's difficult to deal with me because of that. So very much so, and I snap constantly. I've always had an issue with this. I've always had people bring it up to me that I tend to be snappish, and quick temper, extreme impatience. For me, this depends on the situation. I can be incredibly patient. I really can, but that's not very often that I can be incredibly patient. I actually am very impatient at times, to the fact that it causes me issues like making purchases or making something. Some says supposed to wait this long. That's been long enough. I do have issues waiting. Taking risk in activities, often with little to no regard for personal safety or the safety of others. Such as driving dangerously. Not so much for me. Not so much for me. So carelessness, lack of attention to detail, continuously starting new tasks or finishing old ones, poor organization, inability to focus, prioritize, constantly losing and misplacing things, forgetfulness, restless edginess, mood swings in the worst way, irritability and quick temper, inability to deal with stress. Yes, I cannot. If I start getting stressed out, I start collapsing. I start falling apart. Like the world is fucking ending around me at that point. Extreme impatience. I wouldn't say extreme, but definitely impatient on many things. And taking risks, not so much. I'm actually not much of a risk taker. With ADHD in children, teenagers, as with ADHD in adults, can occur alongside several related problems and conditions, including bipolar disorder, which I am almost positive I have, and then obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. There are many things that I can be very obsessed about and compulsive about, the way things need to be done, the way things need to be taken care of. Something needs to be a very particular certain way. And if it's not, it'll bug me and then bug me and bug me and bug me until it's fixed. So I really feel this is something I am dealing with. And if it's not hyper, then I believe... what the hell was that? I believe... was I going through a second puberty? Yeesh. Okay, this is not what I was looking for. This was an ad. I should have known. Okay, here we go. Symptoms. I think this is just the same thing. This is children and teenagers. Symptoms in adults: carelessness, lack of attention to detail, inability to focus. Yeah, it's the same thing, whether it's ADD or ADHD. So, yeah, I really feel that this is something I've been fighting with, and why I've had so many issues growing up and through my life, including being consistent on uploading. Like I've said, you know how I say I come and I go, and I do, and I come up and come down and whatnot. So I'm supposed to see my doctor at the beginning of March, and when I do, I'm going to mention about having ADD or ADHD and go over why with him and see if I can talk to him a little bit more. I may end up seeking out an evaluation, as I really think I need one. But other than that, there is some good news coming up of something. There's some things I want to do. For now, I'm going to record when I record. I'm going to upload when I upload, and likely not going to start until after Files gets installed here. As a matter of fact, you can see that box right there. That's actually my router. It's the first time I bought a router. It's a Files router I bought, so I don't have to rent one for $15 a month. That's my Files router. So I got my router. On the 24th is when everything's supposed to be installed, on the 24th. My doctor's appointment up at the Boston Medical for my second round of bariatric surgery, this is the first appointment. This is to go in, see the doctor, talk about, should I get it, do I qualify, what I'll need to do, blah, 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 blah. It'll hopefully be easier than the last time. Like, I won't have to go through a 6-month goddamn program that they can just schedule it up 2-3 weeks down the road for me. But that said, I'm like completely fascinated with like this one area right in here, and it's this whole line where my hand is pixelating. I'm curious. Is it the monitor? Let's move it up here. Yeah, it's actually no. Yeah, it kind of feels like it's the monitor that's doing it. I'm going to put myself down here and see if like the top of my hand does it. Like, you can see my obsessiveness. This is my obsessive. This is what I was talking about. So yeah, to give you an idea of my weight, I was 332 pounds back around, I want to say July. And I managed to fight and keep myself, under 340. But as of today, I'm somewhere in the, I'm either like 348 to 352. And a lot of people say, well, that's just the COVID-15. Not with me, it's not. Okay? Not with me, it's not. Without being able to go to a gym, without being able to stay on a program, without being able to be more active and get out of the house more often, I've fallen back to all my old habits. Okay? Here's proof right here. That's an empty bag that I just ate a little while ago. The whole thing. And I am... Oops. And I am, like, thoroughly disgusted with myself. Thoroughly disgusted with myself. But it doesn't matter. I'd eat another bag if it was here. An hour later, that disgusting feeling would go away, and I'd be like, I'm hungry. So I want a second round of bariatric surgery to help me start losing weight again. I'm going to get back to the gym soon, as I actually do qualify for my second round of, I've had my first vaccine shot. I've had my first one. I'm going back for the second one at the end of this month. And then I will be fully inoculated. So I'll be returning to the gym, and with the weight loss surgery, put me back on track, because I did good for 4 years. For 4 years, I did really well and continued to lose weight for 4 years. Slowly, but I did it. And now I'm putting that weight back on. And if you know anything about regaining weight after bariatric surgery, you gain it faster and go further than when you first did your weight loss surgery. And I'm not doing that, so I'm working to head that off now before I go too far. So there's that. But as I said, the good news, I want to record what I want to record. And that's probably going to mean no more Euro Truck or American Truck for a while. I know that that's the thing that kind of brought me my popularity at the height of it, which, let's be real, the height of my popularity was around 3,300 subscribers, and I want to say I'd get like maybe a couple hundred views on the video. I was making $25 a month off of YouTube for the adpocalypse. So yeah, I was headed somewhere, but again, I couldn't stick with it. But the first thing I'm looking to try and do, and if there's any game that's going to make me play it from beginning to end, it's going to be the return of the Mass Effect series remastered. There's only one DLC that's not going to be included in the remaster edition. That's because the source code for the DLC is completely screwed up, and they would have to rebuild it from the ground up, and that's just too much to put out the game in a timely manner. And because this is a remaster, it's just updating graphics and whatnot, it's not going to be a risk to get it. And I want this. It's going to be all 3 games, all the DLC, with all updated graphics and visuals. I want this. And I am going to get it. And I want to play all the way through. I've actually played all the way through Mass Effect multiple times, which for me, to finish a game once, to finish a game one time, is monumental. There have been very, very few games in my life that I have played from beginning to end. I can only think of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. There was also Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, and maybe a few others that I cannot think of off the top of my head. Otherwise, I've done all. That's it. So, 3 Final Fantasy games, 3 Mass Effect games. I know I've played from beginning to end. As for any other game, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea if I've played any beyond 2 or up to that point. So, and what I want to do is I want to do 2 playthroughs. I want to do a Paragon Shepherd male and a Renegade Shepherd female. And with the Renegade Shepherd female, I want to try and push myself to make the hard choices that almost nobody chooses. Like the one point where you're standing off against Rex, and you have the option to try and talk him down and just shoot him with your shotgun. I love Rex. I think Rex is one of the great, obviously he's one of the original. He's one of the OG characters. And I'm just going to, my team for the entirety of Mass Effect 1 was Rex and Garrus. That was my team. And now I'm talking about offing them. I'm going to be honest. I may put a caveat in that Renegade decision thing. I will make all the Renegade decisions that do not require me killing a crew member. I know in some cases they don't give you a choice. That's going to be different. But I'm not allowed to kill a crew member. But otherwise, all other decisions must be Renegade. I must do all other Renegade decisions and choices. And then that would be for the female character. And the reason I want to do that is because the unpopular person to rescue during the first Mass Effect mission, where you have to choose between crew members, is to rescue the male crew member and let the female crew member die. Well, I want to rescue the male crew member because he's the only crew member from the original game I did not romance. And I feel that that is definitely a path I need to go down. I also want to do two completely separate. I think I may want my Renegade to be a soldier and my Paragon to be Biotic. Biotic is my obviously favorite one. It's probably the most popular out of everyone. After that, I don't know. I may do a third playthrough where I'm just allowed to do whatever the hell I want and go with an engineer, because I've never played the engineer build. So instead of the soldier, who I'm not overly fond, I mean, the advantage of the soldier is they get to use all the guns they want. I found that if you just use the rifle and the shotgun or the sniper rifle, you're usually Gucci. You don't really need all the weapons. A sniper rifle and either a shotgun or or regular assault rifle, and you can even use a pistol, and you're usually still pretty Gucci. So I may do an engineer as a renegade, because renegade's all the unpopular stuff. An engineer, I believe, is one of the more unpopular classes to choose. On my Paragon, I'll take biotics. So that's what my plan is, because I love the Mass Effect series. It is one of the greatest games ever created, and to have it all updated with new graphics and visuals and all the DLC and everything, it's just beautiful. And so, yes, as you can tell, I'm excited for that. It's definitely something I want to be a part of. Other than that, an interesting story last night. Now, I am not exaggerating when I tell this story. There are stories I exaggerate on. They're the type of stories that I write, where I pull from personal experience, but I highly embellish on them to make them more interesting. But this is not an embellishment. This is absolutely 100% what happened last night. I took my fiancée to a theater, a lovely theater, a very particular kind of theater, and that's all I'm going to go in on about it. You can draw your conclusions from there. And we moved from the balcony downstairs, and we had moved up, and we were enjoying entertainment and, getting the feel and vibe for everything. And so, I start hearing this yelling. It's not something that usually happens in a place like this. And there's this guy who I believe had small man syndrome, because he was, I'm average height, and he was like this tall. And he goes full roid rage. People say he's hopped up on roids. I don't think so. He didn't look like a roid user. So unless he just started, he did not look like a roid user. He did. He had to be high on something, but I don't think it was I don't think it was roids. I think he was on some kind of uppers. But he starts going at the security guard in the place, and the security guard's doing his job. There are restrictions because of COVID. You can't be in a big group. And he kept telling this group, hey, you need to space out. You need to space out. This guy just flipped out. For whatever reason, he took it personal. He was being singled out. He was harassing him. He's a security guard doing his job. And the guy, he was one of those retired security guards. You're like 70 years old. He was one of those security guards. And the guy's like trying to climb over seats, taking his shirt off, yelling at the top of the lungs, come on, let's go. Now, I am there with my fiancée. I do not want to leave her side. So I sit with her and we just watch. And the guy actually manages to get through several people that they weren't trying to hold him back, but they were just like trying to, hey, take it easy, let it, And the dude just battles through, gets the security guard. They tumble into the seats. And everyone that was there, it's about 4 guys maybe, but they was very crowded. This is a very old-style movie theater. Like this used to be, this place has been there since the early 20s. It's been remodeled and done up, but it still keeps the very old-style movie theater. Small seats, very crowded and cramped. And I think that they're trying to hold the guy down, because at this point, they hold him down, calm him down until the cops come. But it becomes apparent after about, I'd say 30 to 45 seconds, what they're trying to do is pull him off the security guard. Now, it becomes this point that I go, I can't stand by anymore, because I know what needs to be done. They're trying to separate them, which is a good thing, but you need to subdue the guy that's raging. Whether that be a whole bunch of guys just get on him and pin him down, or you just, in all due honesty, what I was thinking, try and get in there and choke him out. So because I wasn't in the middle and working off adrenaline, I still had clear thinking, I took my glasses off, gave them to my fiance, and started heading up. By the time I got there, they had pulled them apart. The security guard was moving off to the side, and the owner at this point, who's another man who's probably in his early 60s, maybe mid-60s, comes down. And he's upset. The guy is raging, and he's still raging, he's still going, he's still yelling, and the owner's getting upset, and the owner's starting, and I'm next to the owner, and I realized it was the owner. It's not hard to figure out. So I kind of move over next to the owner, and I kind of put my arm out and very gently nudge the guy. And the guy looks at me like and I could see I could almost feel that, what are you doing? And I just looked at him and said, I know, just don't become his next target. All right, just let him rage it out. So things proceed. The guy's girlfriend's screaming at him, trying to get him to stop. She gathers up everything. He's got his shirt. He's still raging and yelling the whole way, raging and yelling and going, raging, yelling, going, raging, yelling, going. And then I go outside, and I stay, my fiance, she's still sitting in the theater by herself at this point in the dark. And I am conscious of that. That is in the back of my head. I did not lose focus of that. So I'm sitting there. No, I'm standing there, rather, and I'm watching, and I can still hear through the door. He's talking to, I know, this guy's harassing me. He was doing this. He was doing that. And a couple guys kind of agreed, and I'm like, and the owner's getting upset again. The owner's starting to point at him, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I go outside, worried that this guy's going to try to attack the owner again, or to attack the owner. But I stay back. And he starts going, no, I got witnesses, man. You can ask this guy, you can ask this guy, you can ask this guy. And then he points at me, you can ask that guy. And I went, you know what? I cannot keep my mouth shut. I cannot keep my mouth shut. Maybe ADHD, but I just felt I had to speak up. I had to be honest. Okay? And I said this. I did not see what happened to cause this to transpire. So I literally said, I don't know what happened between you and the guard. I don't know what your problem was. I don't know what he did that upset you. But how you reacted and how you handled it was completely over the top. You had no right or reason to attack an old man, a senior citizen, for doing what he believed is his job. You had 100 different avenues of how you could handle this, and what you did was completely wrong. And I was upset at this point for a multitude of reasons. He attacked an old man. He was raging. He was playing victim, and he was ruining my Valentine's Day. And he points at me, and he says, you better calm down before I punch you next. I don't react well to threats. I don't know many people that do. But there was something about that threat that I didn't attack him. I didn't get up in his face or anything. I just felt this calm come over me. It's not something I felt for a very long time. Just this calm. And, and I did the smart thing, and I presented my face. And I said, you're going to take a swing at me. You better knock my ass out, because you're not going to get a second one. Bravado, maybe. But, look, I may be 350 pounds. I may be fat. I may be out of shape. But I actually do know how to fight, okay? I do know how to fight. I'm not a brawler. I'm not this random puncher like a lot of guys do. I'm not a trained martial artist, but I am a trained wrestler. And I don't mean like WWE style wrestling, although some of that shit works. I'm a trained grappler. I can tie somebody up in knots if I want to, even at my size. And I don't work out, but I'm still considerably strong, especially my legs. My legs are incredibly powerful. For somebody who doesn't work out. Let me bookend that. Because my legs have had to carry my weight my entire life, so they've had to be strong. Yeah, I can't run really at all. My walking, especially since I haven't worked out in a year, I can't walk as far as I used to. After working out, getting down to 3:30 and walking, I could walk 45, 50 minutes and still be okay. And that was like at 3 miles per hour on a 6% graded treadmill. So, my legs are strong, and I am reasonably strong, arms, chest, and all that for somebody who doesn't work out. I'm just a big guy. That doesn't mean I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm this, really powerful. For somebody who doesn't work out, I'm a little bit more surprising. I basically feel like I'm physically more capable than most people would give me credit for just because of how I look. But that in no way ranks me up there as somebody who's really dangerous, somebody who's professionally trained, a black belt, or somebody who does work out and build up and whatnot. But seeing how this guy was going, that he was just blind rage and bullshit, and I somehow remained clear thinking, I really didn't feel threatened. It didn't help that he wasn't that big. I know, don't judge a book by its cover. Small people can be very dangerous regardless. But like there's an old saying, a good small man will beat a good big man any day. And that's not really untrue. I wouldn't say a good small man would beat a good big man all the time, but from things I've seen and learned over time, there is weight to that argument. But yeah, I kind of just leaned forward, presented myself, and said, go ahead, punch me and see what happens. And he did. He swung. And I turned. I meant to catch the punch up here. For all that you think that may have been bad. I didn't want the punch coming straight forward. Had I thought beyond that, I'd have dropped my head and let him punch me up here at the top. But instead I turned. And he actually connected back here. It's still a little, tiny bit sore. It was always going to be, right here. He punched me like right there. And as again, it's a little bit sore. It was going to be. It was always going to be. You can't get hit unless it's really weak or really underpowered for who you are and not have some soreness. But at the time, it was, pap, and I just kind of went. And that calmness, that clear-headedness just went from that to cold. And in my mind, I started thinking exactly what I'm going to do to deal with this guy. I've had this kind of state of mind several times in my life. It's not something I do, I consciously do. It's just something that's happened to me. This is the first time I felt it in a while. I don't know what triggered it. I don't know what brought it on, but I wasn't raging. I wasn't pissed off. I wasn't going to charge the guy. I wasn't going to brawl with him. It was just like, I'm going to turn and face this guy. And the next punch that comes in, this is what I'm going to do. And then this is what I'm going to do. And then this is what I'm going to do. All within a matter of a second, I kind of just had this whole, this is what I'm going to do with the next punch. Because that next punch would have been it. He would not have connected with me again. I had the whole idea of, again, I'm not a trained martial artist. I'm a grappler, but I do know and can do some things. And I have actually utilized this in the past. And it's not habit. It's something I actually know. And that would have been, the next punch would have come in, and I was ready to parry it off to the left. I likely would have used this arm. Parry it off to the left. And then with with this hand, try and continue the push so that he was facing back to me, step into him, step right up to his back. Okay. Put my arm around down here, not his throat so much, but in and around here, under the jaw, and lock up. Basically what amounts to a rear naked choke, and cinch it up and put him to sleep. That's what I was thinking. Would I have been able to pull it off? I don't know. I can't say, this is what I was going to do. This is what I was going to attempt to do. Would I have been able to pull it off? I don't know. It didn't matter, because by the time my head turned back, and I didn't snap my head back, I literally was like, got punched and went. He had already taken multiple steps back and was almost in the road. At which point he retreated completely to his car, ripped the license plate off his car, nearly backed over two people while leaving, and then took off with his girlfriend. The police were never called. On the one hand, I wish they would have been, but on the other hand, this theater has no security cameras. The witnesses wouldn't be able to help very much beyond what we could tell what happened. We could describe the guy to a degree, but that's it. We had no identification. We had no license plate number. We got a general idea of his car. It was a Nissan. Was it Nissan? I'm forgetting. It was an Acura. I just think it said a Nissan Acura. Yes, a Nissan. It was a gray or silver Nissan Acura. I probably put it around 2013, 14. But that's it. And it would never have been enough to find him. So it's fine. The cops weren't called. I wasn't really hurt to begin with. I'm still not really hurt. But it ruined the rest of the night. So that happened last night. It was funny. This guy said, man, look, 40 years I've been here, and it never had anything even close to this ever happen. I'm like, it's the one time we actually choose to come here, and that happens. Wow. Really? Really? I almost want to go back again tonight, but it's a long trip. It's an hour and a half drive, and my fiance is working till 5 o'clock tonight, so no, definitely not going tonight. I actually made other plans. I'm trying to be a little bit more interactive with my mother. I got a whole shoot ton of DVDs up there, and we're going to start watching them out in the living room. As a matter of fact, I got a sound bar in here. I actually want to hook up to the big TV out there for better sound. And provided, the remote's still there. And the subwoofer's over there. Yeah, so I'm going to get a sound bar hooked up so that we can have better sound quality, and we're going to watch movies once to twice a week at least, maybe 3 times. Try and have a dinner out in the living room or out in the dining room so that my mother's not always alone. Try and be a little bit more, because there's no telling how much or how little time I have left with her. She's 7 years old with a lot of issues, and I've noticed a little bit of a decline in her mental faculties, physical. There's no telling how much longer I have, and my whole life's going to be upended at that point. I'm not going to be able to live here anymore. I don't know where I'm going to live 100% sure. I'm considering moving to Minnesota, but I don't know how much that's on the table, given the political atmosphere that boiled up between me and my fiance's family. I could, I suppose, try to go to Florida with my father, but again, the expense of living there. Minnesota would have been much cheaper to live in. I don't know if it'd be great, but you can get away with a lot more in Minnesota that you can't get away with in places like Florida and Massachusetts, such as the condition of your vehicle, the condition of your house. You could live in a trailer if you want to. It's just something I would really think about. But so I don't know. But as much as I should be dealing with and worried about that, I'm not going to. I just want to spend some time with my mother here and there where I can, because I made that mistake with my wife, not spending enough time with her and regretting that. Despite how I felt after. I don't know if I confess that here. Maybe I should. This video is already 45 minutes long. It's going to be shit up a little bit, so be it. But I don't know. I see, again, here's my memory issue. I don't remember if I've said this or not. I loved my wife. I was devastated when she passed away. I hated it. But after a little while, I came to a realization that I can't lie. I was happy to be free. Because we were in a toxic relationship for 15 years. We'd argue multiple times a week, usually. Arguments could go on for 3 days. When I was working, she'd keep me arguing to 4 in the morning before I'd finally be able to get to sleep. And I had to be up at 6. And I drove for 8 hours. So I was driving and working off 2 hours worth of sleep. We'd go back and forth, yelling, screaming, hurting each other, fighting. We both had issues. It was both our faults. And sometimes it did get physical on my end, something I never thought I'd do. Because that's how my father was at one point. And I never wanted to be like that. But, yeah. I admit it, I hit my wife. I didn't want to. And if anybody could legitimately use the reason she drove me to that point, it would be me, but that's still not a valid reason to do what I did. So we were in a toxic relationship. The best time of our lives were the last 2 months. Because I think at that point, there's part of me that believes she wanted to die. She was tired of this world. Not of me, not of her family, of her body. Her weight, her suffering, the pain that she lived in constantly with her legs. The fact that her hands were starting to get neuropathy as well. She wouldn't be able to play her ukulele very much. Just all of this piled on top of each other, one right after another, all this stuff. I almost feel like she may have chosen that she's just going to live the last whatever of her life is however she wanted and be free of it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, this is not easy for me to talk about. And out of the blue, I know. And just because of the way I feel, I'm almost 100% positive. I've never said this on video before, but yeah. That's the type of life I lived, I had to use the bathroom. I had to use a porta potty outside my door. Wasn't allowed to use the toilet in the bathroom. There was a time I actually had to shower using a hose outside because they didn't want me using the shower for a while. There was a time I wasn't allowed to step out of my room because whatever. My wife, even if she was sick, had to prepare meals and do things on her own. And I was treated very poorly by her family, despite everything I did. I was treated we were both wrong. I did some things that against the family. I would take food that wasn't mine. But beyond that, I don't know what else I did other than take food that was mine. I didn't force me to stay in a room. I didn't force me to use a porta potty. I didn't force me to shower by a hose, I didn't do that. And taking food was my way of lashing out and striking back at them, which was wrong on my part, regardless of what was going on. And then it took my wife dying to sort of bring us back together. I honestly, this needs a whole video of its own to recount everything. Maybe that's something I need, a cleansing of that part. Because it's not something I have. I don't think I've truly healed from all of that yet. I haven't, I really haven't healed from losing her. Because despite the fact that I feel free, and I really don't feel remorse in her being gone anymore, I still do feel something. It's not positive. Regret, maybe, I guess. Maybe it's regret that I haven't come fully clean. You know, I did love her. At least I believe I loved her. But I'm not going to lie. I'm also happy to be free of her. The arguments, the way I was treated, I felt like I was going to be a prisoner for the rest of my life. I was going to have to deal with basically being viewed as little bit better than maybe the dog. Although I'm pretty sure if the dog and I were both drowning side by side, they'd rescue the dog and let me drown. Not all of them. Let me be fair. I was a little unfair at one point to him. But my wife's brother, my brother-in-law, he's a really good guy, and I wish I had treated him better. I did okay, but I could have been better to him. My wife's father definitely was a great man, and I watched him deteriorate within a year. He was around 6'3", maybe around 230, 220. He was the kind of guy that could do anything, jack of all trades and a master of a few, particularly when laying down floors and tiles. And he was the type of guy that would go and work 8 hours, come home, or go straight from his job and go and work a side job for another 4 or 5 hours. He waited most of his life to get a chunk of land to build his house on, which he never got to see to completion because he died before he could. But there wasn't, he's one of those guys who wasn't, much like my father, there wasn't anything he could do. He was a man, he was an old school father in terms of you respected him. No matter who you are, no matter where you thought you were in your life, you respected him just for him being there. He was a good man. He treated you fairly as long as you treated him fairly. And, I kind of wish I'd gotten more time to know him than what I did. And to watch him deteriorate like he did in a year is something that still sticks with me today. Another one was my wife's grandfather. He was he was a comedian in his own way. Very good guy, very giving, very loving. I remember the day, I forget, because why, I don't know. But I bought him a 12-pack of beer as a gift. And to see him light up like he did, it was something. His wife wasn't too thrilled, but she couldn't get at me for it at the time. So those are definitely 3 people that treated me very fairly. My nephew as well, although did a couple things concerning my nephew that I never should have. Nothing like to him directly, but indirectly. Such as I took something that I gave him that he had left there, and I took it and sold it for a little extra cash when I left, because he didn't come around the house very much anymore because his dad was no longer there. So he really didn't come to visit as much. And he left the gift I had gotten him there. And still being the complete ass I was about things at times, I took that gift and sold it because I needed more cash to travel with. You know, to give me a little bit more cushion, because I was traveling on very, very little budget after I spent what my father had sent to secure tickets and whatnot. So, yeah, we're a few nice people, a few good people. His mother was definitely not one of them. Her mother was not one of them. Her sister was not one of them. Her sister was definitely not one of them. You know, I wonder how my niece is doing at this point. You know, she was around, I forget how old she was when I left. I've been gone for almost 6 years, so if she was still in elementary school. She may have been around 8, 9. So I'd put around 14, 15 right now, 13. I miss her, my nephew. Out of people in Hawaii, that's the only two I miss, my niece and my nephew. And I don't care what anyone over there may say, that is my niece and my nephew. Right? For my nephew's almost entire life, not from when he was born, from when he was about 5. So for 15 years, from when he was like 4 or 5 years old, I was there. Okay? And my niece, I was there her entire life. And I love both of them. I always will. I just thought it better I stay out of their lives, though. Anyways. This video is approaching an hour long. I usually don't like to ramble, and then I always end up rambling. I'm going to cut it off here. I got to go pick up my girlfriend in an hour and a half, unless they let her out early. Please tell me she didn't text me and I didn't see it. I haven't heard my phone go off. Oh, good Lord. But, yeah. Anyways, folks, I'm going to end things here. I'm sorry things kind of went all melancholy, depressed at the end, but this is just where I'm at the moment, you know? This is me. So, I'm going to go, and I'm going to just relax and chill for a little bit. I'm planning on buying dinner tonight for my mother and myself and whatnot, my fiance. So, until next time, folks, this is going to be one big bugga. Keep an eye out for Mass Effect. I do actually want to record while I'm playing. So keep an eye out for the Mass Effect with the Master Series when it drops. I may upload sporadically here and there. I'm playing SnowRunner. Not really playing much else than SnowRunner right now. Oh, I also play a game known as Nova Drift. It's an early access game. I may post a little bit of that. I should have recorded playing Hades. I really should have recorded me playing Hades. I also play Elder Scrolls. I haven't played in a few days, but I've been playing Skyrim again, Elder Scrolls Skyrim again. I probably should be recording that when I go back to it. I wish I had been recording when I played Hades. I know Hades is one game that I've really enjoyed, and I've actually gotten to the end of it, and now I'm like in the what's the in the like the endless play at this point. So yeah. Anyways, folks, just keep a watch. Things will get uploaded over time. I will get back to, especially when Files gets back here and I have a decent upload speed. Well, until then, folks, this is going to be One Big Bug, and I'm going to be signing out. We'll see you.